there's such a long
Pace
amount
yourself.
of, right, and there's so much content, you'll be able to say your thing.
And to be fair, there was a lot of thought that went into things that people aren't even aware of. If you notice, Dog opened every show, closed every show. Right? He took every phone call. I never opened the show in 19 years, never closed the show in 19 years. That's where the end came from.
Well, you got the power chair though.
I don't know how. I just, like, it just seemed. We actually had things that we actually provided, that we understood, and we understood how to make things work. We knew how to push each other's buttons. I mean, I think I learned how to push his earlier than he learned how to push mine, but we learned how to push each other's buttons. And the amount of passion and energy we had was insane. I mean, we used to peel each other off the wall. I mean, we had sometimes arguments in there that would go through the top of the hour, through the commercials, through the updates, through the next update, and go on for 45 minutes without a break.
The two big ones, I tell you, we had with the 94 players, the 94 player strike, that was a huge one.
Yeah.
When you see me in the movie say, Mike, that's not what the owners want. That's Mike on the player side, me on the owner side.
Yeah.
I tell you, another one that we used to fight about all the time was Scottie Pippen. Oh my
Scottie Pippen, the
I
Giants,
loved him, but I couldn't stand him.
and LeBron going to college.
I was wrong on that one. I don't think I got that one right. But we had some. Yes. I think LeBron turned out to be
How'd that
okay.
turn out? I don't know.
But I'll tell you that Pippen, when I was so proud of myself, because Mike was he loved Pippen, defense. And Mike is right how great he is. But I always used to think that Pippen could not carry a team by himself without Jordan. So when Pippen went to go play for the Trailblazers, they played a 7-game series against the Lakers, and they should have won. They were down 3-1. They tied up 3-3.
Right.
It was the Lakers' first championship with Jackson. They had Kobe and Shaq. And they had a 13-point lead at the end of the third quarter in Game 7. This is Pippen's team.
And lost.
Pippen could not throw the ball in the ocean. I came back on that Monday. I was so freaking happy.
Because he cost them a championship when the Knicks that year, when the Knicks went to the finals. He almost won it the year after Jordan left.
94.
By himself. And Dog was the only happy person in New Orleans in the whole world. That's where
But when you would finish a show though, on one of those days where these arguments are going on and on, are you thinking when you're in your car leaving, like, how am I going to do this again?
I used to think, why do I want to do this again? Well, can I do it with somebody else? No, honestly, I'll be honest, we fought a lot. But there were a lot of times where we had, like, he used to live at my house, okay? I mean, before he got married, he lived at my house. I mean, he was there.
Jeannie too, Jeannie came
so we were actually, there were years we were very close. So, and then there were years, like they depicted in there, this is one of the most amazing things we ever accomplished. We literally went through 6 months, as you saw in the documentary, where we not only didn't speak before the show, after the show, we didn't speak during the show.
About 3 months.
One of us walked out of the room during every commercial break, and no one ever realized anywhere outside of the station that we were fighting. Like, it was never written about in the newspapers. The fans didn't say, well, you guys got to make up. No one ever knew that we were having this fight, but it went on for months and months and months.
So I think that, like a lot of people in the audience, this is very personal for me because I listen to you guys, sometimes, on Fridays in the car with the family, driving out of the city, jogging around the reservoir with my Walkman, listening to you guys. And I think that one of the things I was stunned by in the doc was to hear you both say, well, maybe I should have done this, or, that might have been a mistake, or maybe I was a jerk. I never thought that I would hear those words come out of your mouths, listening to you for all of those years. So my question then, I guess, is, what did you, looking back, what did you learn about yourselves? What did you learn, and as you look back on it now, all these years later, did it change you? How did it change you?
Well, after the fact, maybe. I don't know if it ever changed us while we were together, but, I mean, I always knew that he was much easier to let something go than I was, in that if I was set on something, it was not happening. If I said, and he'll tell you, if I said it was going to be A, it was A, and that was it. He was much more flexible than I was. I was not flexible at all. So he was clearly, especially early on, much more flexible and much more giving than I was to, I'll give into this, I'll agree to do this, I wouldn't give in. So I was really awful in that regard. So he was much more flexible, giving, and gave more to the relationship earlier in the night. He was a better sport about like dog date afternoon and different things that he do. So I was much harder from that regard. But he also, when he'd get his back up and get temperamental, you couldn't talk to him. I mean, he, not just me, the rest of the station could talk to me, they couldn't talk to him. He'd be like, don't talk to him, you got no chance.
I tried. I was tough.
Impossible then. If he'd get to a point, then you just couldn't deal with him. You just had to let him go. He was not going to.
Let me get over it. Take a couple days. Listen, I think the first thing I'll say, the fights, it makes some good copy, and who doesn't like to see it, and everybody gets a kick out of it. I think it actually helps us. The fact that it creates drama.
The Jingle fight wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was a couple days.
The airport fight.
That was a bad one.
That was and I was completely wrong, but I didn't want to go on that remote. And
I used to love the remotes. Yeah, I want to go. Come on.
Dog would do 2 remotes on Wednesday and 1 on Thursday. Okay, anything to go out and do a remote. So I didn't want to go to Indiana. So the point was, now I get to the airport, and I was like, I didn't want to go. I finally gave in and agreed to go. Now the plane's not here.
I just got this.
So I'm great. I'll see. I'm going to Astoria. So I leave and go to Astoria, and I'm like, I got him. Well, he's now crazy.
I was upset.
So upset. He was right. I should. That was a bad.
That's where Mike getting married saved the show.
And
because that was the same.
That's the same fight. That fight was the worst one we ever had.
But
I think we ever came to blows. I don't think I don't remember that happening. I would have hit Joel before I hit him.
We got along a lot. That's the one thing that people, it makes it for fun, so I'll say we fought for 19 years.
Yeah, we didn't fight as much as people. But we got along a lot of times. We really did.
But you had your ups, you had your downs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any relationship, and the acrimony. So what about that goodbye that day, the phone call?
Oh, that was awful.
Were you surprised by the depth of emotion that you both felt that day with that phone call?
Well, that's the first time I've seen my father call. So Mike took his glasses off. You never see Mike do that.
I had trouble.
I didn't realize that.
Now listen, that was a long drawn out day. First of all, we had a tough time. Okay, we've been through all the things with mail and everything else. It doesn't matter anymore. But the point is, I'm now announcing that we're done. It's out that we're out. And now we're having that August, I think it was 14th show that we saw.
Middle of August.
Right. And I go to the station that I want to have the dog on. No. And obviously I said, I don't care, I'm doing it, so I'm putting it on. So I said, this is the right way to do it. Finally, they agree with me to let it go. And I put them on. And we go through that. I didn't know Tony was going to call. When Tony called, it was just off. The dog was off the charts because he was starting to cry. And I almost didn't make it. And then I'm like, damn, I don't want to cry. So, I mean, I really don't want to cry. And then his father started, and I almost couldn't keep it going. And that was about 15 minutes or so.
That was a good hour.
Yeah, it was, and it is one of.
Because I got on 110.
It was one of the highest rated shows ever. I mean, it was off the charts how high.
Did it surprise you though that
it was very
reacted so
emotional.
viscerally?
It really was, because now we had been getting along, and during that whole negotiation we didn't talk. But when we had to finally say goodbye, now you're not thinking of that. You're thinking about the 19 years plus we put it on television, and everyone's watching and everyone's listening, and like you hear a pin drop, and the control room's full of people, and everyone's just like zeroed in on this thing, and I can always feel like when the whole city's listening. You can almost know when everybody's listening. Well, then you knew everybody was listening, and it just felt like that. It really did.
Yeah, that was a pretty. And you saw my oldest kid, Timmy and Mike had a very good relationship.
Great kid.
And my father too. Had a very good relationship with Mike. So that all hit.
Tony was a big part of the show.
Big part.
Made Tony a really, and he was
because he's a big Yankee fan.
And he was a great character.
Yeah.
He was just like Dog.
So what do you miss the most?
I miss the camaraderie. I miss the idea that I don't have a guy here. I hear this. I sound like Mike did at the beginning of the documentary. I don't have a guy sometimes on the air who can challenge me and keep up with me from a sports standpoint. So I don't have that now. So I rely on the fans to do it, and this guy, that, and I miss that. You miss the give and take of the serious sports discussion that New York loved for 19 years. Mike still has a little of that because he's got a little more of the FAN feel, has the local teams. Me, I don't have that as much. So that's the one thing that I miss, that camaraderie, that you work with somebody else who you know, whatever you say, he might know as much as you do, if not more, so it can work out well. I miss that.
Well, our shows are so different now. He's doing a very different show than I do. And I still have the old audience and the old stuff, and the callers and all the things that we always had. But what I miss is when we got it going the right way. We've worked alone now for almost a decade apiece, and we've had a lot of success alone. But the note that we could reach, the thing we could reach together, isn't the best, that we could do. It's the best I think anybody's ever done in sports. I don't think there's ever been anything close to it.